When drawing an eye, it's a good idea to think about an eye being in thirds, because an eye is a dimensional object where you have a sphere wrapped in the eyelid. So as you'll start off with the eye opening, and notice how I'm using short lines to create the eye opening, and you can see where I'm looking at the eye being in thirds. This is the front of the eye, and these are the parts of the eye that are curving away from us. It's going to give you a much more convincing eye than if you sketch something like that. The next thing to start thinking about is the iris. So the iris, very rarely do you see all of the iris. And in this particular example, we're just going to have the eye at rest, as it were. So we just see the bottom 4/5 of the eye. Sometimes it helps to actually draw the whole circle in if you're worried about getting that precise. Similarly, you could also sketch that with short, straight lines. Now we're beginning to get the bones of the eye. The next thing to observe is the eye crease. So this is the crease where the eyelid is tucking in to the eye socket. And again, think of that in thirds as it wraps around the eye. And then having got that detail in, finally, on the actual structure of the eye opening, we have the tear duct. So have a look at the tear duct and what proportion that tear duct is to the rest of the eye. A couple of things I see happening a lot is that eyes are sketched far too high this way, and that the tear duct is far too small. So what you need to be doing is looking at how this height here relates to the width here, and that how this also relates to the rest of the eye. Don't make it too big and don't make it too small. The important thing is to keep stepping back. Having got these details in, we can soften these lines now so they don't look quite so angular. We'll have a little bit of information in there. And as we soften this bottom line, have a look and see what you can see, because you'll often, depending on your perspective, you'll often see a little bit of the inner eyelid coming underneath the eye. The next thing to think about is eyelashes. It's not particularly accurate. It's very stylised to draw eyelashes like that. We don't really see that. What might help is to create a reservoir. I'm using charcoal, and to just smudge some dark along the bottom. The iris is always a black circle in the middle. What can make it more lively is a little bit of light on the eye, and then just going back to the idea of thirds, this third here will have different light treatment to the middle third and to the end third, depending on where your light source is. So look at this and look at what happens to the light here, here and here. Look at this, look at the same, and then look at this and look at how the light changes there. And that way you're going to end up with a lot more convincing eye that looks as though it's curving back into the face. Just a few tips for drawing eyes. Have fun.